I'm Charles Bankhead of MedPage Today, reporting from Galveston, Texas. The calm waters of the Gulf of Mexico offer a dramatic contrast to the wall of salt water that dwarfed this island city's protective seawall in the wake of Hurricane Ike. The corrosive floodwater inundated the campus of the University of Texas Medical Branch, and more than 2 months after the storm, UTMB remains in the early stages of recovery. Dr. Stephen Lieberman, Vice Dean for Academic Affairs at the medical school, describes the lead-up to the storm's destructive landfall and the early stages of the recovery process.
We have very carefully worked out steps for battening down the hatches and evacuating the students, who are usually among the first to be set free, so to speak, when a hurricane is approaching. We did this 3 times this year, actually twice before Ike was coming, and we've done it in the past as well. Part of life running a medical school on a barrier island. When the hurricane hit, the lessons we've learned in the past from previous experiences, particularly with Rita in 2005, was that communication with students, with faculty, is really key. And our information services department here has done a fantastic job developing redundant systems so that we can communicate with folks even after a disaster hits the island. So that was a real key to the early response to what happened in those first few days after the 13th when Ike hit.
Not until the floodwaters receded did UTMB officials realize the magnitude of destruction.
What we learned early on was that the hospital had taken on a lot of water, and that those systems and the hospital function was not going to be back up and running in the immediate future. So one of our early concerns then was getting our 3rd and 4th year medical students who are doing their clinical rotations, getting them on track, keeping them on track, so that they could continue their education without a big delay. So what we did, and this is based on experience from helping Tulane out after Katrina in 2005, we spoke with our colleagues around the state, at the medical schools around the state, and they have been unbelievably generous and gracious in hosting our students, putting their faculty's time and effort into continuing our students' education. We would be in desperate straits without them, and we are forever grateful for all that they've done for us and for our students. They've been nothing short of spectacular and absolutely accommodating.
Although the storm caused an estimated $710 million in damage at UTMB, the situation could have been worse without a well-honed emergency preparedness plan, according to Dr. William Molesky, head of the UTMB Trauma Center.
We have pretty extensive hurricane preparedness programs here at the university. It has basically a continuous preparedness for the hurricane plans, the external disasters as well, but hurricanes in particular, so that preparation basically goes on all year long here. All the employees are constantly reminded about who's an E1, emergency 1, emergency 2 or 3 category people, so the folks who are going to be staying know well in advance of the storm that they're part of the team that's volunteered to stay in the case of an emergencies, and everybody knows their role to prepare and to gather supplies and get it together, so that, certainly within a week of one pointing at us, everybody's pretty well geared up.
The situation in Galveston is both similar to and different from Hurricane Katrina's impact on New Orleans in 2005 and a tropical storm that flooded Houston's Texas Medical Center in 2001. Dr. Karen Sexton, Interim Executive Vice President and CEO of the UTMB Health System, explains.
Probably the difference is that our patient population really can't get to us in the same ways that they just picked right up and came back to Houston, because it wasn't their homes in Houston that was flooded. It was the medical center. So as soon as the medical center came back online, then their patients were ready. Here, a lot of our patients can't live in their homes, and so they're not returning here in the same way. So we're unsure of what our population actually is going to be as time goes on. We're trying to learn from the models that were built in New Orleans after that, and how much the population grew back and when it grew back and what services were needed in healthcare. So, we've talked a lot to our colleagues and other people who helped that recovery, and we tried to learn from that.
The final form that UTMB takes depends a lot on what transpires over the next year or year and a half.
We've got time to figure that out because we can't be as big as we were today, even if we wanted to. We've had major damage to our facility, and we've lost our kitchen, we've lost our pharmacy, we've lost our blood bank, our sterile processing, our radiation oncology, our pulmonary division. I mean, there are a lot of things that were damaged in the storm. So if the governor of Texas told me tomorrow, we want you to be 600 beds again, I'd say no, I can't. There's no way. So we have time for people to figure out and help us know what our future holds for UTMB over the next 3 to 5 years. But for right now, for the next 12 to 18 months, we're planning to be as big as we can possibly be from the physical standpoint.
And what has UTMB learned from this experience that might benefit other medical centers?
I guess that first I would say that all of the planning and all of the exercise that you take that sometimes gets, you kind of lose your excitement about doing that activity. It all pays off. In the end, it all pays off. Because there's a lot of things that you think about in the beginning while you have time and you're not in the crisis moment that you can say, okay, this is the way we would handle that. I would also say that no matter how much planning that you do, there's always going to be surprises, and things are not going to work exactly like you thought they would. So it's essential for you to have the right people that you're going to have with you around the table, in the environment that are going to help you think through these issues because they're going to come. And it never hurts to know what your priorities are.
For at least the near future, everyone at UTMB has to be prepared to take the recovery a day at a time.
When the hospital is going to open to accept emergency admissions and casualties or injured patients again is still up in the air. Every week is a day-to-day decision on what kind of capacity we're going to have to provide care in the hospital. The institution is fully committed to restoring its function as a major hospital and as a level 1 trauma center. But just like many other times in our history where Galveston, the area, and the university have had to live through hurricanes, it takes a while to rebuild. I mean, gosh, you look at New Orleans, and the 2 level 1 trauma centers there still aren't level 1 trauma centers. They're still in the process of rebuilding. I think Galveston will be much faster than that.
Despite the prevailing uncertainty, UTMB officials remain confident that the medical center will recover and perhaps be stronger because of the storm.
Change is inevitable. And every time UTMB has been through one of these things, it has come back stronger and more vibrant over time. And I'm sure we will again.
For MedPage Today, I'm Charles Bankhead.